Okay, we're going to discuss symbolic arguments, and the symbolic arguments are again part of the requirements for this particular class. What is an argument? Argument is basically a you know um, an item that you usually place in the parentheses, but in this case we're going to use arguments as the statements given to you in the problem. An argument can be valid or invalid, and to be more specific, an argument is valid when you need the conclusion. In other words, the conclusion is necessary. An argument could be invalid when the conclusion does not necessarily follows, or it's not conclusive, in other words. Excuse me. So a symbolic argument consists of set of, you usually have a premise and conclusions. When you have both, you have a symbolic argument. So here's an example that I want to use. P represents premise, and that says Elton John will play Daniel's song, or Elton John plays Daniel's song. Plays Daniel's song. Hope everybody has heard this song. Another argument I have is Phil Collins plays guitar. So you have a premise first, premise 1, P1, or you can say premise 1. You can represent this in symbols. Which, which says Elton John plays Daniel's song, and Phil Collins will play the guitar. So the premise 2 is P, and then you can say therefore this 3 dots that you see, it means, and you got to put a line underneath. Oops, not here. Let's see. Right here. And you got to say therefore Q. The 3 dots represent Q. So you can say, this is how you can represent these arguments P and Q. Another good example I have is another symbolic argument we have, and we have 2 arguments. P, this is a good example as a matter of fact. Well, the whole argument is this. The problem says the grass is green may find this in the book also, but I like this example. Or grass is full of weed. And the second argument is that the grass is not green. And therefore, grass is full of weed. So let's write this in a symbolic form. You can write P with a colon and say the grass is green. Q saying the grass is full of weed. Weeds, okay. Now let's write this in a symbolic form. Remember, the original problem said the grass is green or the grass is full of weed. So you're gonna have, this is how you should write in the symbolic form. P Q, because that that union that represents the V in between represents the um, or, and the grass is full of weed. Well, the original problem says the grass is green or the grass is full of weed, and the second part says grass is not green. So that would be your Q like this, because grass is not green, and then you draw a line underneath and say this. Therefore, Q, which means the grass is full of weed. That's what it means. So this is called the symbolic argument. Another good example would be using the, let me use another example if you want. Here's an example. Determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. Okay, here it is. If here's the problem. It's not A and B. Forget about A and B. Here's an example. If it is snowing, then we put salt on driveway. Then put salt on driveway. That's fine. And The second part said if we put salt on driveway. Therefore, it is snowing. Now, what we have to do is determine if this is a valid or invalid statement. So let's do that. We can say P represents it is snowing, and Q represents we put salt. We put salt on driveway. So in the symbolic form, you can write this P Q, which means if it's snowing, then we put salt. Then you have Q, therefore P. What this tells us is that we put salt on the driveway, it is snowing. It is snowing, therefore we put salt on the driveway. And then the second part said we put salt on driveway, therefore it is snowing. That's not true. We put salt on the driveway, therefore it is snowing. No, it is snowing, therefore we put salt. That would have been a valid argument. But here it's the other way around, so it is not a valid argument. This is how you can understand it. If I twist the problem here and rewrite this here, and well, I'm gonna have to show you in a different video, so let me just